Hey gearheads, and welcome to Garage Talk, a discussion about all things automotive. I'm Corey.
And I'm Matt. And each week this podcast will serve as a catalyst for discussion on all sorts of topics that grind our gears, rev our engines, or just need a bit more conversation.
And on this week's episode, we're talking a little recent trip I took to none other but the Texas Truck Rodeo, put on by the Texas Auto Writers Association in the Texas Hill Country, because Texas and trucks.
Absolutely.
Like peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if you are interested in some more information as to what I was doing and driving at the Texas Truck Rodeo, you can head over to our website, gtgaragetalk.com. There you will find news stories, blog posts on some of my recaps from different vehicles I drove while I was there. You'll also find the links to our social media accounts to see pictures and posts about a lot of different things.
Lots of good stuff going up this week.
Yeah, a lot of stuff coming out of this car show. So head on over to gtgaragetalk.com to find out more about my experience at the Texas Truck Rodeo, above and beyond what you're about to hear from me now.
Yeah, all right, so let's get into it, dadgummit, because...
Wait, no.
Well,
before we do,
we
would be remiss if we did not plug something that is happening in just 1 week, Matt.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
And that is Garage Talks Unlikely Heroes Car Show, presented by Carology Detailing at Hilltop Church of the Nazarene. It's our very first car show.
The very first one.
And we're very excited about it. As of the recording of this, we're just over a week and a half away-ish.
About 11 days, yeah.
There are still a few I's to dot and T's to cross, but it is quickly approaching. We just want to say thank you, first and foremost, to all of our awesome sponsors that have helped this event come together. Our title sponsor, I don't talk for a living, Carology Detailing. They just got a brand new facility. I went over there and checked it out. It's going to be amazing. They're still making it their own. They have also got a mobile rig that should be at our show doing some detailing. And they are giving away a drawing for a free detailing to the most deserving of daily drivers. So be sure. And if you're not entering your car, first, why not? And two, if you're not entering your car, you should still be eligible to win. This drawing is through Carology Detailing, and we just thank them for their partnership. We've got a few other sponsors, just to call out a few: Piney Woods Pets, Texana Olive Oil, ETX Marketing, ETX Laser, eGuide Magazine and app, and that's just some of the help that we've had coming through. You can head over to gtgaragetalk.com/car show and find out all you need to know about entering your vehicle, because we want your vehicle.
Absolutely.
Doesn't matter if it's shiny. Doesn't matter if it's fast. Doesn't matter if it's new.
No.
The older, unshiny, unpretty,
beat up, pieced together,
the better.
Barely running, all the good stuff. Yeah.
So anyway, had to get that out there. We're inching ever so close to our very first car show, and just thought we'd let you, our listeners, know. Go sign up, dadgummit.
Dadgummit is right, because it has been over a week now since you got back from the rodeo, and Mum has been the word from you. And to be honest, I'm a little offended that you have kept all of this goodness to yourself for over a week and a half. I mean, I got little tidbits. I got a few pictures.
I wanted live reactions from you on the show. So
well, get on with it.
Okay. So for those of you unaware, it was actually two events in one. Since the COVID happened, it has been kind of a drought of in-person car events, and this, for many people, was the first thing since Chicago Auto Show this spring, late winter in the early year. So it was a breath of fresh air to see journalists together again and see cars in person, not just reveals online. And to that end, FCA, in their infinite wisdom, said, you know what, the truck market in Texas is pretty important for us. We're going to go down there, and we're going to bring some of our newest stuff. And by golly, they did. So before the truck rodeo actually started, FCA brought everything new that they've got coming out right now. And so we had a press event with all of the new rides. And
let's go down the list.
So we had Ram TRX.
Okay.
It was a presentation unto itself.
Right.
That's actually where I started off.
Okay.
Because they had us socially distant. They had us in small groups traveling together. The next group, bless their hearts, they did everything they could, but they were the least, quote unquote, exciting of the bunch. But there were still some cool features on the new Chrysler Pacifica minivans. They had 2 of them there.
Shout out to my sister-in-law who wants a Pacifica desperately.
Okay. So I will say, yes, buy one, because one of the coolest features in the Pacifica that they showed us was FamCam. And what FamCam is basically, think of a monitor for your kids.
Right.
They have a camera in the ceiling pointed at all the back seats. And you can tap on the screen in the dash and zoom in on a particular seat. It even works on rear-facing child seats.
Nice.
And
a literal eye in the back of your mom's head.
Yeah, and it is awesome. As a father of a kid who's still in a child seat, it's awesome. It alleviates the need for mirrors, and you can see close up on them. And I go back to the fact that it's like a baby monitor, bedroom monitor, because it even has infrared for night vision.
Cool.
And so you can see even in...
I have one big issue with it.
Yeah.
Now brothers don't get away with picking on their sisters, and the sisters being the one...
Yeah, because they could see it all.
Yeah, yeah. Mm.
They did say, so this might be a hindrance to some, in order to get it, you have to get mid-grade to high-grade trim level, and it comes packaged with the rear entertainment system with the flip-up screens. So it's in a package that gets rather pricey, but it was the single most interesting thing to me as a father of a 2-year-old.
Sure.
I was like, man, if they had put that in more vehicles, I really like that.
That's cool. That's cool. All right, so TRX, Pacifica.
Chrysler Pacifica. Then the Jeep booth. And Jeep's been doing a lot here lately. So they have the 392 Wrangler concept.
Did you get to see that?
I got to sit in it and start it up.
Oh, my goodness.
They had the Jeep Grand Wagoneer concept, and I got to sit in that. More on that later.
Yeah, you were all over Facebook Live with that one. That was fun.
I did a Facebook Live. So if you want to see my interior and exterior walk around of that, feel free to head on over to facebook.com/GTGarageTalk and see that. And then they had the Wrangler 4xE, which just so happened you and I were added to a 4xE fan group on Facebook the day before I was at this event. And I wish it had happened sooner, because as soon as I got back from the event, they had all these questions that they wanted me to ask that I was by no means prepared to ask.
Right.
And I feel, I'm sorry, Chris, if we let you down. But I answered a few. I got up underneath it. It still fords 30 plus inches of water, even though it's got all that electrical going on in it.
Wow.
And then the last section was Dodge. And we've alluded to before on a previous episode. I'm going to pull up the actual episode number so that I can reference it and you can go back and listen to it. It is called Funny Names at Bar Fights, episode 25, where we go into, I had a conversation with Tim Kniskus of FCA, and it was our first introduction into some of these vehicles, but they brought the Charger wide body Hellcat.
That's not a truck.
Huh? No. This wasn't the truck rodeo. This was before the truck rodeo. This was the FCA event. They brought the Durango Hellcat, which I loved. Loved.
Yeah.
And then they brought the Challenger Superstock, all three of which have, obviously, the Hellcat engine under the hood and are creating somewhere in between 700 and 800 horsepower, depending on which model we're talking about.
Yeah, just, a little.
Yeah, just a skosh of horsepower between these three vehicles. It was quite fun. I actually got to...
That's three vehicles that total over 2,000 horsepower between them.
Yep. And I got to sit in them all and crank them up and rev them. It was fun. I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get to drive them all.
Uh-huh.
I got to drive a couple that I just named.
Uh-huh.
But I can't exactly talk about all of them just yet.
Why not, Corey?
There's an embargo from FCA, and I would get in trouble. So stay tuned.
So
more
when do
more
we,
to come.
Like, again, It's been a week and a half. I'm just now getting little tidbits of crumbs.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So let's just go through this event because we have the whole truck rodeo to get to. First and foremost was the Ram TRX. And you might want to crank up the volume over there, Matt.
All right.
Sounds good. Now, I'm actually standing behind it with this clip. Joe Rady of Rady's Rides on YouTube, go check him out, was actually behind the wheel revving it at this point. But, man, it sounded good. So 702 horsepower. Just again, a skosh of horsepower. Yeah. Fastest truck. This is me revving it. So this is what it sounds like inside. Maybe my second favorite sounding vehicle that I got to sit in. Maybe. I'm still trying to work my way through them. That truck was amazing. Being able to sit in it and go through it and find all the Easter eggs, like the T-Rex eating the Raptor under the hood, the T-Rex and the Raptor in the center console, and the human for size comparison. FCA is great about putting Easter eggs around.
So I do appreciate the Easter eggs.
Truly an amazing truck, and sitting in it was a dream. More to come. So after that, again, I kind of really talked about my favorite part about the Pacifica. Next up was the Jeep booth.
Okay.
And so I got to sit in and start up the 392 concept.
Here we go,
yeah. Now, it's got an active exhaust, so there's a button you can push that changes how loud and crazy it is. Hi, guys. See ya. So those were the Jeep presenters joking back and forth. If they weren't standing there right next to me, it would have been very tempting. But
it's like the Secret Service ready to reach in and snatch the key out of the ignition, right?
Yes. That thing, also amazing. Did not get to drive it. I've seen some other media outlets get to drive it. It was gorgeous. That red leather interior, the removable roof and side panels. They had the one-touch sky roof on it and half doors. And I asked them about half doors. They say, they listen to their customers if there's enough demand. So if you want half doors from the factory,
if there's enough demand,
it's
only the only thing that has been the complaint about the JKs and the JLs since they were introduced is that they don't come with half doors.
Offer half doors, dang it. So keep pushing FCA. Maybe you'll see some factory half doors. I mean, we have seen several concept vehicles with half doors, so they keep teasing.
Yep.
They keep teasing.
All
right. Another great sounding, another Hellcat powered. This one sounded good. No, this isn't. That was not me behind the engine. I would have given it a little more behind the hood, behind the wheel. Dang, I can't talk. I would have given it a little more gas, a little more throttle. I was standing behind it. That was the Dodge guy revving it up for us. But that was the Durango SRT Hellcat, and that was an awesome rig. And I'll get more onto that later.
There's a SRT8 that lives down the street from me. The Jeep. It's not a Trackhawk or anything. It's just a SRT8.
Right.
Best ever sounding SUV on the planet ever.
FCA has done a really good job with their exhaust note because they don't do much in the way of exhaust. It's pretty much, here's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
So here is the Charger wide body.
It's cold.
Yeah. This was, there we go. This was a morning event. So.
Right.
And last but not least, the 800 plus horsepower super stock Challenger.
Give or take.
And I will say, I think this one's my favorite sounding.
Oh, man, here we go.
Sound very good, right?
I'm trying to find things wrong with it,
yeah.
and there's just not anything wrong with it.
Other than you're bored of Hellcat all the
well,
things.
So
huge thanks to Kimberly and all the folks over there at FCA for having us out for that event. Can't spend a lot of time on it, especially because I didn't get to drive any of them.
Yeah.
More thoughts and impressions will be up on our website, gtgaragetalk.com, where you will see these videos. You'll be able to listen to them at your leisure, as well as some pictures I snapped from the event. So, gtgaragetalk.com. Now for the main event. The truck rodeo.
Right.
I actually went to go drive and experience some of these vehicles. And so there were 38 vehicles in total.
Good
grief. We had from about 8:30 to 5 p.m. with a half hour for lunch.
Okay.
To drive as many as we possibly could. There was an off-road course set up there, professionally done by Off Camber Designs. We'll put a link to their information in the show notes. Huge shout out to them. They did a great job. Some of these vehicles were never meant to go off-road. They were different levels. Some things you had to go around and avoid. But we'll get into that as we kind of go from vehicle to vehicle. Like I said, I didn't drive all 38 of them. There was no way I could have and truly spend the time that I wanted to with the ones that I wanted to. Like the first one on the list here is the 2021 Kia Seltos. I did not get to drive it. I wanted to. I really did. I've heard nothing but great things. It was all-wheel drive, hearing great things that it was capable and all that, but did not get to drive it. Same with the Mazda CX-30, basically high car crossover-ish. It's not an SUV. Competes directly against the Seltos. Didn't get to drive it.
Yeah.
2021 Hyundai Kona. Didn't get to drive it. Are you seeing a pattern here? I did not go for the subcompacts.
Right.
Yeah. So
I want to interject here just briefly. The Kona, there's one that I see nearly every morning while I'm driving my bus route. That has got to be the best looking compact crossover SUV on the road right now. I love the look of that thing. It's very sporty. It's very lifestyle-esque.
Yeah. Got a lot of cladding on it, but that's okay.
Yeah, but it's and the one that I see is in the bright blue color, beautiful color. So it's a sharp little rig.
The interesting thing about the Kona, I'll go back to my wife's car. It's a 2014 Jeep Cherokee Trailhawk, and when that vehicle was announced, it had one of the most controversial styling elements of it was the daytime running light / turn signal was up high, kind of like an eyebrow separated from the main lighting element and housing. And oh my goodness, everybody just gave the Cherokee crap for that online, and now everyone is doing it. The Kona is one of them. The Blazer does it. I think the Trailblazer does it.
I'm going to ruin your night.
A lot of other... What? Go ahead.
The Nissan Juke started that. You're welcome. All right, next.
Next one I actually did drive, and it was from the Toyota booth. Toyota brought several vehicles there, all in some of their best off-road trims. Thank you, Toyota. And that was the 2021 RAV4. They brought the TRD Pro in the new Lunar Rock color, and I loved it. It competes directly against my wife's car, the Cherokee Trailhawk, and I would love to do a side-by-side comparison. We're reaching out to Toyota right now to make that happen. So Toyota, if you're listening, we very much want to make that happen on our channel. It was very capable. It did all the obstacles that everybody else did. And I won't go into too much technical details because we've got so much going on. All I can say is I will have an article posted eventually on our website, gtgaragetalk.com. It was truly a capable rig. So if you want something that is livable, that won't break the bank, definitely keep it in mind.
And it'll go forever because it's a Toyota.
Right, absolutely. 2020 Honda CR-V Hybrid. Did not drive it. I'm sorry. I skipped over this next one purely because I live with one day in and day out. They brought the new Luxe trim of the 2021 Jeep Cherokee, which they have done a lot to the interior, which I already love the interior of ours, but they've improved it since. And the Luxe edition was even a step above. So nice vehicle. I stuck with things that I had not yet driven, which takes me to one that I was really excited to see there and drive, and took on road. I spent about a half hour with this one. I've already got an article posted with my driving impressions and review of the 2021 all-new Nissan Rogue. I was thoroughly impressed with this one.
Good.
And in the world of more tech or less tech, this one checks the box for more tech because it was the Platinum Edition, fully loaded, all the bells and whistles, and had their new Pro Pilot Assist with NaviLink.
Fancy.
Yes, and that's where it takes into consideration where you are on the map and what it knows through navigation to adjust speed going around corners if you're on cruise control, or if you're about to make an exit on an on-ramp. It just takes all those things into consideration and truly gives you a great driving experience. I drove it on some twisty roads in the Texas Hill Country, and kind of let my hands float on the or around the steering wheel. It did an amazing job of keeping us centered and in the lanes. It is an hands-on wheel level of autonomous driving, so it's not a Tesla.
Right.
It won't drive itself, but it proved to be very capable. And even when it gave steering inputs, like it would give you audible beeps and show you in the heads-up display, hey, you're crossing the right line or the left line, it never got like video game force feedback level of intrusiveness. Okay. So it was a nice rig. It truly impressed me. The interior quality on this thing, Nissan's stepped up their game with the interior quality. I was thoroughly impressed with it.
Good.
Did not go off-road with that one. It was an on-road only vehicle. Again, it's can't even buy them yet. So that was out there. Kia Telluride, I did one lap of the on-road loop in it. Truly an impressive rig. I would love to spend more time with one. I've got a friend, Jeremy. Just saw that y'all bought a new one and you offered us to drive it. I may take you up on that one. So, and then, of course, we had its fancier sibling, the Hyundai Palisade, which came in the calligraphy trim, which is their highest level, and bang for your buck luxury. If you want true luxe interior and you don't want to break the bank, the Palisade calligraphy is your answer. So that one stickered at $49,000, but had 3-row seats, heated, cooled seats. A thing that I noticed in this and in the Rogue and in the Telluride, they're starting to put seatbelt reminders for all the back seats as well. So on the dash next to the touchscreen, you can see all 5 seats behind you and whether or not they were buckled up or not. So that was cool because I can't tell you how many youth trips I've gone on as a youth pastor. Everybody buckle up. Come on. And this will at least let you know who's fibbing or telling the truth. So Mazda CX-9 was there. I didn't get much time in it. This next one I did. Another Lunar Rock entry from Toyota, and that was the 4Runner. So they brought a TRD Pro version of the 4Runner. I say it bridges the gap between everyday livability and the true off-road pedigree of the Wrangler. So if you want to do some serious off-roading, but you have to live with it day in and day out, and the Wrangler's just a little too utilitarian for you, even though the JL has come a long way with daily livability, there's still some sacrifices that you make for the removable roof and the removable doors and the fact that you can hose them out and things like that. The 4Runner, I was truly impressed. It did everything that was asked of it. They have a new crawl control that is basically off-road cruise control. It's not just downhill descent control, but you can be on level ground and you can set it to whatever
1 or 2 or 3 miles. I've seen a couple of videos about it. It's
0.6, 0.8 miles per hour. I mean, it'll truly crawl on you, and it did a really outstanding job. There were a few spots in the course that, especially huge downhill, where you couldn't even see the spotter if you weren't looking very carefully, stretching out over the hood, that you just put it in downhill or crawl control and let it do its thing, and you were down at the bottom without really having to worry about it.
Very cool.
Yep. They actually brought 2 versions of the 4Runner there. They've got a new trail trim.
Okay.
And they actually brought a Tacoma and a Tundra in the same trim as well. But more on those on gtgaragestock.com. I would say I spent the most time off-road, surprise, surprise, Team Jeep, in the Wrangler and the Gladiator.
Okay.
And they had several examples. Jeep was well represented at this event. First one I got in was a Wrangler Rubicon 4-door with the EcoDiesel engine. And that thing is a torque monster.
Mm.
It's strange being in it and hearing the diesel clatter.
Yeah.
But it did everything I asked of it. It could crawl up steep grades without even breaking a sweat, without even trying. Like, I barely had to give it any throttle. And we were up the hill, no problem. And I absolutely loved it. Truly capable engine. I also drove a Gladiator with the same EcoDiesel. And like I said, torque monster.
Nice.
And thoroughly impressive. So, let's see. I drove just the one Wrangler, and then I drove two Gladiators. I drove the EcoDiesel Sahara or Overland Edition, because I don't have a Sahara. Overland Edition, which is basically the luxury-ish on-road model. It's not the Rubicon. It's not the craziest off-road one, so it didn't have disconnectable sway bars or anything like that. But again, with that EcoDiesel in there, torque monster, it climbed over anything that I asked it to, did any of the off-camber stuff. It flexed with the best of them. I was impressed.
Good.
And then I also drove the Mojave Edition, which is their desert runner.
Yeah.
And I will say, after driving the Wrangler and the Gladiator back-to-back, that longer wheelbase definitely made for a smoother ride. For everyday livability, I would say it would be the one I would choose.
Yeah.
Because you still seat the same amount of people, plus, with a bed cover in the back, you've got more storage in the back. You can tow more with it. You can haul more with it.
It's a truck.
I loved the Gladiator. Was thoroughly impressed. Next one I can't tell you about until November 30th. We've already heard
you
it.
can't tell us anything at all about it?
I can tell you I drove it. I can tell you it sounded good. And there's a lot I want to tell you about it from a very short on-road only drive.
Uh-huh.
And that's a 2021 Durango SRT Hellcat.
Uh-huh.
And I'll just leave it at that.
Uh-huh.
Sounded amazing. Made me want one really, really
badly.
badly.
I bet it did.
Really, really badly. The interior on it, again, go over to GT Garage Talk. You'll see some pictures. They have this new impacted carbon fiber. So everybody knows the carbon fiber weave look.
Right.
They're doing something new with this impacted carbon fiber. No two pieces look the same, and it truly has a unique, it's almost like a camouflage carbon fiber look.
Okay.
It looked amazing. They've upgraded the entire line, not just the Hellcat powered ones. The interior is much more driver centric, because Dodge says they have the 2-door, the Challenger, the 4-door, the Charger, and the 3-row, the Durango. And that's their product lineup now.
Yeah.
And they're all enthusiast vehicles, and they were.
So my wife and I rented a Durango, just a V6, but it was black on black. It was a beautiful truck. We rented one, it's probably been 3 or 4 years ago now, over a weekend. And even the V6, which I think at the time was right at or just a smidge over 300 horsepower, that truck would scream.
Yeah. Imagine if you had 700 horsepower.
Right. Well over double what that thing had. And, I mean, the 8-speed automatic is brilliant. Mm-hmm. It's responsive. It does exactly what you want it to do. I mean, it's comfortable. It's not. It doesn't feel huge like what most third-row SUVs do, but it's still got plenty of room in it. You can still put 8 people in it, or 7, or whatever the case is. But, yeah, I've been very impressed with the Durangos.
I remember years ago driving an RT version at the Dallas Auto Show with a couple of my teens in my youth group at the time, and they're like, "You need to get this." We would go on all sorts of road trips in this thing, and it had real leather interior, and it had the 392 engine in it. It was impressive then, and
like an $80,000 price tag too. But.
And now with all the refinements that they've got and the more power, like it's truly, I want one.
Is it six figures?
No. So the MSRP of the one we tested, well, as equipped, is TBD, but they start at $80,995.
So it's a six-figure truck.
No, no, $80,995, and you could probably option it up to 90.
Probably, yeah. It's still 700 horsepower.
Yeah. So
it's still wasted rear tires. It's still
well, it's four-wheel drive, so and it's got launch control. More on that to come.
Mm-hmm.
So another vehicle, I was so excited when I saw it sitting there because there is a lot of hype surrounding it, and that was a new Land Rover Defender 110. And
or rebadged Bronco. I'm sticking to that, dadgummit.
You're wrong. It looks a lot like it, but no.
It's the same truck.
No,
same truck.
I was thoroughly impressed. Land Rovers have this reputation of always breaking. This one withstood all of the torture that we put it through, and I saw what some people did to other vehicles. So knowing that they were also driving this, I'm sure it withstood a lot. The obstacles were imposing, some of them near vertical climbs. It felt like as you're flooring it. Well, some journalists, I did not. I listened to the instructors. I did not floor it up the hill. But you're basically pointed up towards the sky, and then a hard left turn as soon as you see treetops again. Anyway, all that to say, the Defender truly impressed me. It was a very nice interior, felt very well put together. All the electronics basically worked seamlessly without you really having to do much of anything. I did not spend enough time, playing with all the drive modes and everything. So whatever it was in when I got in it, worked well for me. I put it on the off-road screen, and I saw when the diffs were locked and unlocked. And
nice, because it's doing all that by itself.
All seamlessly. I was thoroughly impressed. I would love to get to spend more time with one. I've entered Holly and I to win one. We would definitely keep that one if we won it.
Oh, yeah.
I was that impressed with it.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Nice.
This next one. I loved it.
Oh,
it
boy.
was the first vehicle I jumped in when we got there. I did not take it off-road, but I was so excited. It was my first Alfa Romeo experience.
Oh, yeah.
And that was the Stelvio. Beautiful white example with a stunningly bright red leather interior. It was gorgeous. I loved it. It was very much like the sports cars of the SUV world, like very responsive steering. It would definitely feel more at home on the track than it would on the off-road course they had set up for us.
Kind of more in line with the F-Pace, the Urus, that vein of...
Yeah. All sporty intentions and very, very nice vehicle. I loved it. I wanted to take it home among a few others.
Right.
But yes. And not that expensive. So the one as equipped was $59,745.
Right. For how many seats?
5.
4.5.
But they were covered in red leather.
Yeah.
They were gorgeous. And Alfa Romeos are just beautiful.
Oh, they are gorgeous.
Beautiful
they are gorgeous
vehicles.
cars. Yeah.
And as far as SUVs go, it's a gorgeous one. This is okay. The next one on my list. I definitely, as soon as I saw it, I knew I was driving it at some point, and that was the Rolls-Royce Cullinan. And I've posted pictures on our Facebook page and on our Instagram, and opinions are split. I'm getting a lot of UGLY. You ain't got no alibi. You ugly.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a love it or hate it styling. And it was definitely an in-your-face purple color.
Yeah.
Which I loved.
I did like the color.
With contrasting white and purple interior, I loved it. It was very nice.
It was very Rolls-Royce.
It was. And as they explained to me, it was as capable as anything there. It is their press vehicle, so it was still on-road tires, but if it were fitted with some off-road tires, it could do absolutely every single obstacle there that the Wranglers did, that anything else did, which is crazy to me because do you know what its as-tested price was?
Ooh, I'm going to say over $250,000.
Flirting with $500,000.
Oh.
$426,700 as equipped.
Woo!
Yeah. All this was going through my mind as I got in it. I said, we're going to do the on-road driving course first. I don't know that I want to take this thing off-road just yet. So we drove it around on the twisty roads of the Texas Hill Country. Thoroughly impressed. Beautiful, gorgeous, lovely interior. Floating like a cloud. It's got a 6.75 liter V12 engine under the hood with over 500 horsepower. It was very, very nice. Driving elegance, to say the least.
I'm going to keep my comments to myself about some of these vehicles and what I would or would not have done with them.
So I did have the Rolls-Royce representative riding with me, and she was telling me all about it as we were going. I didn't give it the beans. I really wanted to. 563 horsepower, 627 pound-feet of torque. It was very capable.
I'd have matted it.
All-wheel drive, four-wheel steering. It was very capable on-road and off-road. But it was like piloting a boat, but in all the good ways and good connotations of that. It was floaty, but not separated from the road.
Okay.
It drove well. Like I said, it had four-wheel steering, so it didn't drive huge, even though it is a very large vehicle.
Yeah.
I was thoroughly impressed. Had some cool party tricks, like the push-button closing front doors. It's really weird. Where you would expect there to be a grab handle, there's just solid wood. So you're meant to push the button on the dash and the door
closes for
you because why are you going to bother yourself with closing the door?
Right. Does it dance to Christmas music like the Model X?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, but this one did come equipped with the what did they call it? The presentation package in the rear, the tailgating package, as I like to call it, because from East Texas. Basically, you push and hold a button, and two luxury seats slide out of this rear compartment and sit on the tailgate for you just to sit in style, and it's got a little pop-up table for you to sip your champagne and enjoy whatever horse race or sporting event you're at.
Yeah.
I don't want to say it's once in a lifetime experience because I would very much like to drive many other Rolls Royces if you're listening. But it was definitely a first for me because here I am thinking this cost twice what my house cost.
Right.
And I'm still paying on my house. But yeah, to see that long hood and knowing there's a V12 under there and having the spirit of ecstasy guide my way was a nice experience.
I bet it was.
But I don't want to trade for much.
So what else did you drive, Corey?
Did not drive the Jeep Grand Cherokee. I've driven. I did not make my way back around to the Tacoma. They brought the new Trail Edition of the Tacoma there, which is based on their SR5. Like I said, they brought the 4Runner there and the Tundra as well in this new Trail Edition package. Like I said, they're based on the SR5, so they are TRD light, I want to say. Just enough for what most people are going to do with them off-road.
Yeah. What was it? I think Nissan calls it their Desert Runner package or whatever. Right. So it's got some of the skid plates and the look, the sport appearance, more type stuff. Cool.
Like I said, I did drive the Tundra version of the Trail Edition and thoroughly enjoyed it. Had some nice wizardry in it as well.
The nose is still massive.
Oh, my goodness. Yes. It is huge. Speaking of massive noses, I did drive the 2021 Nissan Titan Pro 4X.
Yeah.
And the only real gripe I had about that one is its massive schnoz. The biggest obstacle at the event was a very steep hill climb that was apparently too steep for the approach angle on the Nissan Titan Pro 4X.
That's a bummer.
So it had to take the same off-road course that the little Subaru Crosstrek did. Yeah. But other than that, it was very capable off-road. Like I said, it handled all the off-camber stuff. It handled the twisting, turning, the climbing over everything, splashing through water, mud, all that. It was fun. It was a fun course, too. I did not drive any of the heavy-duty stuff because, well, I didn't. Again, there were 38 vehicles there. We were grading different classes of vehicle, and if I didn't drive one from the segment, I wanted to drive at least two from every segment that I drove in.
Yeah.
So I just stayed away completely from the heavy-duty class. Plus, there were certain obstacles they couldn't do as well because of their sheer size. They were huge.
Right.
So I steered clear of them just because I knew if I drove one, then I would have to drive another one just for my own mental checklist.
Okay, but
and they were mostly Rams, so.
Okay, well, that was going to be my next question was what heavy duty was there, because we know that FAMOCA was not,
right,
and GM was not,
right.
So
it was Rams.
It was Ram.
Yeah. And
if you've driven one Cummins diesel, you've driven 100.
Yes, and I saw several other journalists driving the heavy duties and having issues in what I considered to be the most fun parts of the course.
Okay.
So that also kind of deterred me a little bit from it, just because, and again, everybody that was there had different levels of off-road experience.
Right.
I was a very quick learner. I brought a very competent teacher with me on my first pass on the off-road course. More from her next week. Stay tuned. Like I said, I was a quick learner. Not bragging here at all, but I did leave one of my cameras stationary on my second pass ever on the off-road course, and they were quite impressed with the vehicle and how easily it climbed up the hill, which I would say has something to do with the person driving it, because I saw other people stall out in that one. So
yeah.
Matt, when is this episode going live?
This Friday,
which is the 16th. So I can't tell you much about this next one. Just that I got to drive 2 examples of it.
So we're having all this censored conversation.
I know. Maybe
why did we even do this episode?
Maybe when you push that red button and turn it green and we're not recording anymore, I can give you more. Or you can listen next week again, because by next week, more content will be available. I'll just say, it was a Ram TRX. I got to drive it. I'm so excited that I got to drive it, because when I heard that it was going to be at the FCA event, but that we weren't driving any of them, I was happy and sad all at the same time. I was like, I get to see it. I get to hear it. I get to sit in it, do whatever. But I was sad I didn't get to drive it. And then we got the email that it was going to be at the event, that we'd get to drive it, but we couldn't talk about it until the embargo was lifted, which is October 23rd. So stay tuned to gtgaragetalk.com. You will get more information at that point in time. Next week's podcast episode will go in a little bit more in detail about the TRX.
Yeah.
Suffice it to say, I really, 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 really want one. Like, all the specs were there to begin with to make me want it. Having driven it myself, both on-road and off-road.
Easy.
I want it. But that's all I can say.
Okay.
Very competent vehicle. But yeah. So, I do believe, going through my list, that is all I actually got to drive or spend time with, which may sound like a lot, may not sound like too much. There was a lot going on at that event. I was trying to get video. I was trying to get pictures, do the best I could. I'm very excited for next year. You'll be going with me next year. I know what to expect.
Sure.
This was my first rodeo. That joke won't get old.
Oh, no, it's old.
It was my first rodeo. I'm very grateful to the Texas Auto Riders, for Kristen, the head of the Texas Auto Riders, for her being very patient with me, and explaining things to me, and talking me down from my hyperventilated state. I was like, I'm going to be there alone. I want to get all this video and this content and blah, 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 blah. She's like, just bring your tripod. You have plenty of time.
Cool.
It was thoroughly a great event. Truly awesome to get to drive that many vehicles back to back to back to back. Like I said, next year's is going to be even more amazing because you'll be there with me. We'll have a little bit better handle on what we're doing when it comes to reviewing vehicles, videoing vehicles, and who knows? We might have a little fun trying to freak one another out.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
So this episode goes live this Friday, which will be
October 16th.
October 16th.
I know that because it's a very special day in my life. It's my birthday.
It is your birthday. Yeah. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
It means that the embargo on the TRX lifts the following Friday.
Correct.
Which just happens to be
right
before
our car show. Our very first car show. Garage Talks Unlikely Heroes car show presented by Carology Detail.
Yeah.
At Hilltop Church of the Nazarene.
And we gave you the whole big spiel on the front of the episode, so I won't go into all that again. But be sure to sign up. Be sure to come, even if you can't sign up, even if you just want to show up and eat some amazing barbecue.
Yes, Poke and Eye Barbecue will be here.
Just come and have some good barbecue and check out all the goofy cars that are going to be there. It should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, events like these have us drooling over new vehicles and glorious wonders of engineering marvels, but this show is truly meant to celebrate the unsung heroes, the unlikely heroes, the ones that do all the dirty work day in and day out for us. And without them, there would be no 9 to 5. There would be no they make our lives possible. And
yes, they do.
So we want to celebrate the typically uncelebrated vehicles. But that is not all from the Texas Truck Rodeo. Like I said, if you want to find out more about what I drove while I was there, my impressions, pictures, video, head on over to gtgaragetalk.com. There you can find out all the news and information from the show on our blog post as I write articles and put all the stuff up. It'll also give you links to our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. They are all at GT Garage Talk, where I've been posting pictures and video pretty steadily since coming back from the event, just to get people's feedback of what was awesome, what was cool, what they liked. And go check us out, gtgaragetalk.com.
And be looking forward to next week's episode. It's a very special interview. It was a blast of an interview.
Yes.
Some interesting details about the individual who's on our show next week.
Yep. You won't want to miss next week's episode. And she gives a little behind-the-scenes information on some of the vehicles we talked about as well. But until next time, bye.